Imagine someone mocks you, twists your words, or tries to humiliate you in front of others. Your first reaction? Anger, frustration, the urge to fire back. But what if nothing they said could touch you? What if their insults bounced off like pebbles against steel? No reaction, no loss of control, just unshakable calm. That's not fantasy. It's a skill. And one of the most powerful ways to master it is through strategic silence. In this video, you'll learn how to use silence not as weakness, but as a weapon to diffuse provocation, block manipulation, and protect your peace, no matter how toxic the person you're dealing with. By the end, you'll know exactly how to take the power out of their hands and put it back into yours. Section 1. Silence diffuses the game of provocation. Let's paint a picture that might feel painfully familiar. A small disagreement about something as simple as who was supposed to take out the trash suddenly blows up. Within minutes, you're being accused of things you never did, your character is getting attacked, and mistakes from years ago are being thrown in your face. This is a classic provocation playbook. For individuals who thrive on conflict, arguments aren't about finding a solution. They're a source of drama and, more importantly, a source of power. They poke and prod, waiting for that flash of anger, those tears of frustration, or that desperate plea for them to stop. Your reaction is the prize. It confirms they have a hold on you, that they can control your emotional state. When you react, you're playing their game by their rules. Now, imagine you do something different. When the jabs start, you take a deep breath and you go quiet. You don't jump in to defend yourself from wild accusations. You don't get sucked into the chaos. This isn't the cold, punitive, silent treatment they might use to punish you. It's a conscious, strategic choice to disengage from a destructive pattern. What happens? You cut off the fuel supply. A fire can't burn without oxygen, and their manufactured outrage can't survive without your emotional reaction. Your refusal to engage is deeply unsettling for someone who expects and needs to control your feelings. Your silence sends a powerful message. I'm not playing this game anymore. It's the first step in de-escalating the conflict and showing that their old tricks are losing their power. Section 2. Silence is your shield against manipulation. One of the most exhausting parts of dealing with a manipulative person is the constant mental gymnastics. Conversations feel like verbal minefields. Your words are carefully collected, twisted, and handed back to you later as proof of your supposed flaws. This is the fertile ground where tactics like gaslighting grow, with phrases like, "I never said that," or "you're just imagining things." Over time, it can make you question your own memory and sanity. When a game is rigged, the only way to win is to refuse to play. The less you say, the less ammunition you give them. Think of your silence as a shield. They can't misquote your silence. They can't twist your silence into an admission of guilt. They can't use it to fuel their story that you're the irrational one. When you stop scrambling to explain and defend, you give yourself the space to just observe. Without all the noise, you can start to see the manipulative patterns for what they are. The blame shifting, the contradictions, the attempts to divert from the real issue. Silence gives you the clarity to step back from the emotional storm and protect your own sense of reality. Your silence isn't empty. It's a fortress where your perception of the truth can stay safe. Section 3. Silence forges an unbreakable boundary. How many times have you set a boundary, only to have it debated, dismissed, or ignored? You say, "Please don't yell at me," and get a 5-minute lecture on why your actions made them yell. With some people, verbal boundaries aren't seen as limits to be respected, but as invitations for a debate. This is where action, or in this case, a specific inaction, speaks louder than words. A well-timed, strategic silence is how you enforce a boundary. It moves you from pleading with them to powerfully demonstrating your limits. Here's a more structured way to look at it, which many therapists recommend. First, you state your boundary calmly and clearly. Just once. "I will not continue this conversation if the yelling continues." If the yelling doesn't stop, you don't repeat the threat. You don't argue. You simply enact the boundary. You go silent And, if you need to, you physically leave the room. This isn't about punishment, it's about self-respect. It communicates that your boundary is non-negotiable. This is what's known as a timeout. And for it to be healthy, you can even add, "I'm taking a 20-minute break, and we can talk again when we're both calm." At first, they might escalate, trying to get the reaction they're used to. But when you consistently hold firm, you are teaching them, through your actions, that certain lines won't be crossed. Your silence becomes the wall they can't argue their way through. Section 4. Silence gives you clarity. In the fog of a difficult relationship, it's hard to know what's real. Is this apology sincere? Do they really want to change, or is this just the start of another painful cycle? Their words can be so convincing that you get pulled back in, only to have the same patterns repeat. When you disengage and go silent, you stop feeding the chaos. And with your reactions out of the way, their behavior is all that's left. It's in this space that their patterns can become much clearer. Think about a healthy disagreement. If one person goes quiet out of hurt, the other will likely soften. They'll ask what's wrong, give them space, or try to repair the connection. But in a toxic dynamic, your silence may be met with frustration, anger, or even more aggressive attempts to get a rise out of you. They might accuse you of punishing them with the silent treatment. Their focus isn't on understanding your feelings, it's on regaining control of the interaction. Seeing this pattern can be a moment of painful but necessary clarity. Your silence creates a vacuum, and what rushes in to fill that space can tell you a lot about the dynamic you're in. This isn't a magic trick to reveal their true intentions. People are more complicated than that. But it does give you the mental space to see their behavioral patterns for what they are, not just what they tell you they are. Section 5. Silence reclaims your energy. If you've been in this kind of dynamic, you know how draining it is. You pour so much energy into managing conversations, anticipating meltdowns, and recovering from conflict. Your life force is constantly being siphoned away. This is where we need to talk about two very practical, popular self-help strategies built on the principle of disengagement. No contact and the gray rock method. It's important to state that these are not clinical interventions, but they are tactics many people find incredibly helpful. The most decisive way to reclaim your life, if you are in an abusive situation, is no contact. This means cutting off all forms of communication. It is a powerful declaration that the cycle stops here. It's not an act of revenge. It's an act of self-preservation that gives you the space you need to heal. But no contact isn't always possible, especially if you share kids or a workplace. This is where the gray rock method can be useful. Imagine a boring gray rock. It's completely unresponsive. That's what you become in unavoidable interactions. You give short, factual answers. You don't share personal opinions or show emotion. The goal is to make yourself so uninteresting that they lose interest in trying to provoke you. You effectively become a dead end for drama. Both strategies are about redirecting your energy. Instead of pouring it into a black hole of conflict, you're investing it back into yourself, your healing, your goals, and your happiness. Navigating these dynamics can feel incredibly lonely, but please know that you are not alone. So many people have walked this path and have felt that same confusion and pain. If you feel comfortable, please share your own experience in the comments. Have you ever used strategic silence or the gray rock method? Your story could be the one thing someone else needs to read today to feel seen and understood. Let's build a community of support right here. And if this video was helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications. We're committed to creating more content that empowers you to build a life of peace and strength. So let's be clear. Strategic silence is a powerful tool in your toolbox. It helps diffuse provocation, shields you from manipulation, enforces boundaries, and gives you the clarity to reclaim your life. This isn't about being passive. It's a deliberate choice to stop playing a game that's rigged against you. You are not changing them. You are changing the only thing you truly have control over, your own response. It's vital to remember that if you ever feel unsafe, or if you fear that disengaging could lead to physical harm, your top priority is a safety plan. Please reach out to a domestic violence hotline or a mental health professional for support. But for many, the path to peace begins with the profound power of choosing to disengage. It is you, taking your first, most decisive step out of the storm and into the quiet calm of your own authority.